What up, guys? So today we're going to be talking about another country, and this country is el país, Colombia. So this country is going to be about Colombia. So before I get into it, so make sure to subscribe down below today, because I'm posting videos every single day or whenever I can. So I really don't have anything else to say. So let's get into it. Colombian Spanish, let's go. Alright, so Spanish in Colombia. Colombians do speak Spanish, but it's a little bit different from our Spanish, the Spanish that we speak. And the flag of Colombia is pretty simple. It's just three stripes of colors: yellow, red, and blue, or yellow, blue, and red. However the flag looks. And Venezuela and Ecuador actually fall into the same categories with the flag of Colombia. So the Venezuelan flag and the Ecuadorian flag, those two flags look so similar to the Colombian flag, but they're pretty much different. So now what I'm going to be showing you is a picture of the Colombian flag. Then I'm going to be showing you a video of somebody explaining the accents of Colombia.
The first thing that we have, we're going to go over the universal characteristics that I've heard. So let's start with the letter D. The letter D in Colombian Spanish universally is a very soft letter. I don't really hear a harsh D anywhere. It's more slurred over than anything. So for example, es el mejor regalo que puedo darte becomes es el mejor regalo que puedo darte. Es el mejor regalo que puedo darte. Que puedo darte, okay? You hear that at the end? Poder becomes poder. Posibilidades becomes posibilidades. If you're in the coastal region, the coast has an accent that's very similar to the Caribbean Spanish accents. If you don't know what those sound like, check out my playlist. Pretty much, if you don't know, what happens there is the D disappears a lot of the times. So if I want to say ¿dónde estás? I may say ¿dónde estás? Right? Or ¿de dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? Right? Or if the word ends in ADO or IDO, it becomes AO or IO. Es una cosa muy complicada becomes es una cosa muy complicada. Él está enojado. Él está enojado. Okay, so it's very, very, very similar to Caribbean Spanish there. In the coastal regions, el acento costeño. Going along with that same thought pattern, let's talk about the S's. You guys have heard in a few examples here. In the coastal regions, the S's will disappear too. The S's will be gone. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo está? Okay? Or yo estoy aquí hablando. Yo estoy aquí hablando. Okay? Just like the Caribbean Spanish. It's freaky how that accent just travels everywhere. Then you have the paisa S, which is not like a straight S, but it's not like an SH either. It's like in between there. I like to compare it to like deja vu, the ja, that sound. That's the paisa S to me. So está diciendo cosas buenas. Canadian trait of breathing the S out. So for example, nosotros will become nosotros. Nosotros estamos aquí. Now let's talk about B's and V's. The B's and the V's, when it comes to Colombian Spanish, they are very, very, very soft. More like a W. Unless it's like a B, like in the word bravo, then it's gonna be like, kind of harsh there. But if there's no consonant after it, I would say it's gonna be a pretty soft B. For example, you would never hear someone from Bogotá say that they're from Bogotá. They will say, soy Bogotá, soy Bogotá. So you see how it's slurred there? Soy de Bogotá, soy Bogotá. Or bravo it wouldn't be pronounced bravo, it's more like navidades. It becomes las navidades. In the parts of Colombia where they have a more Caribbean accent, the N at the end of a word will become more like an NG, kind of nasally. So, yo no sé lo que están haciendo. Están haciendo, lo que están haciendo. As opposed to, yo no sé lo que están haciendo. And then speaking about, Caribbean as well, because throughout Colombia, the R's and the L's, they're pretty neutral. But if you're in one of those zones on the coast where they speak more Caribbean, then the R will turn to an L. There's pretty much no distinction in between an R and an L if it's in the middle of a word or at the end of a word. If it's in the beginning, then of course it's going to be like slightly rolled, or if it's a double R, it's going to be rolled. But if it's at the end or the middle of a word, then you kind of take your pick on which one you want to do in those regions that have more of a Caribbean accent. So with the L and the Y in Colombian Spanish, it won't be more like a y sound, but more like a j sound. So for example, as opposed to saying Medellín, many people say Medellín, Medellín. Remember, I told you that these are very soft, so it's not going to be like Medellín, but Medellín. That's how they say it. Or instead of saying yo, you would say yo. Now when it comes to using diminutives, they will use diminutives like Ico and Ica as opposed to Ito and Ita. So for example, ahoritica, ahoritica, like right now. Ahoritica mismo, right now, right now. Okay? As opposed to ahora mismo or ahorita mismo. Ahoritica mismo. Okay? Ahoritica. Now, this next part is like a puzzle when referring to Colombian Spanish. It's just like a puzzle because you gotta figure out how to put the pieces together. And this comes through just studying it on your own time. But tú, usted, and vos, they're getting like juggled around like crazy. Like you gotta know how to use them in which region and whatever. Because a lot of places, if it's informal, you will use tú. And then if it's formal, you will use usted. Or if you have informal in some places, like Argentina, you will use vos. And then for formal, you will use usted. In Colombia, forget all that, okay? Forget it all. Some regions require you to use usted when you're talking to people that you're really close friends with, when you're talking to your mom and dad, your lover, whoever, it's gonna be usted. While other regions will have you use vos as you would use tú, and then usted as you would use usted. And then some regions have you use tú, but they also use vos, and they also use usted. So it's just something you gotta get used to. Make sure you're sharp on your conjugation for all those things. If you don't know how to use vos, check out my tú versus vos video that pops up like everything else does in the corner up there, okay? Tú versus vos. It's not that hard to understand, just it's something that you may want to learn if you're gonna be learning Colombian Spanish, okay? Now, let's get into the tones, guys, the tones. So on the coast, they're gonna have more of a Caribbean accent. Now, all of these accents slightly vary and they're mixed in with Colombian words, like pues, for example. A lot of Colombians use pues in their sentences. They have their own Colombian sayings. Marica, which is like bro. It's not a good term if you're not friends with the person, but if you are friends with the person, then it's like bro, okay? So, they sound pretty much like Caribbean people that have a hint of Colombian with them. And all of them have slightly different variations, but I'm gonna generalize it. Yo soy 100% colombiano, pero cuando yo hablo, muchas personas creen que yo soy del Caribe. Eso no tiene sentido porque los caribeños hablan diferente que yo. Por ejemplo, los dominicanos hablan así. Pero mi loco, ¿qué es lo que tú estás diciendo? Los puertorriqueños hablan así. Pero papi, esto es lo que está pasando ahora mismo, papi. Y los cubanos hablan así. ¿En serio que volar? Pues yo no sé lo que está pasando con Dios. Así que yo no hablo como ninguna de esas personas. Yo sé que yo hablo un poco diferente a los demás, pero yo todavía hablo como colombiano. Next, we have the accent that claims to be the most neutral accent. El cachaco, Bogotá, el capitaleño, okay? They slur a lot of their words. They slur a lot of their words, and they have this kind of tone, which you will hear here. So pay attention to how I pronounce the B's, the D's, the V's. Just listen closely. Hola amigos, ¿cómo están todos? Bienvenidos a un nuevo video en mi canal de YouTube. Hoy tenemos un video muy especial porque voy a estar hablándoles sobre cómo se habla aquí donde vivo yo, en Bogotá, Colombia. Bogotá, you guys have a beautiful accent. It's very distinguishable, but it's not the most neutral accent. Pastuso has the most neutral accent in Colombia. Yo soy pastuso y no sé exactamente por qué la gente cree que soy estúpido. Me dicen bruto, pero la verdad es que yo no soy bruto porque yo hablo como los demás. Next we have this one accent, which is it's not really a famous accent. I just found it really interesting, so I wanted to share with you guys. Santander. Yo creo que me entiendes, pero no sé si me entiendes. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Ve, ¿vos querés aprender a hablar como nosotros los caleños? Pues así como hablamos nosotros. En las comunidades siempre estamos aquí. El acento paisa. El acento paisa, it will sound. Pero parce, es muy difícil entender lo que decís porque no hablas como nosotros, los de Medellín. Vos tenés que aprender a hablar como nosotros porque tenemos una manera muy chimba de hablar. Una de las cosas que más quiero es que la gente escuche mi música sin problemas, sin miedo, sin nada. Porque sabes que nosotros los músicos de Medellín siempre tenemos el reggaetón más fuerte. Y a mí me gusta que me apoyen y todo. Yo tengo mucho respeto a los artistas de los otros países, pero muchos me quieren tirar porque yo tengo mucha fama, muchos fanáticos y todo eso, pero a mí no me importa de verdad porque sabes que siempre estamos trabajando.
So, yeah, guys, so that's how they speak Spanish in Colombia. So, stay tuned for the next country tomorrow, which is going to be on Costa Rica. So, yeah, guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hasta mañana. Hasta luego.